let me just clear the screen. There you go. Again, I only have is it random. I no longer have is it random 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 3, or anything of a kind. It could have they could have ended with something completely nonsensical like I don't know dot 850 something like that. It does not matter. The asterisk covers all of your characters. The asterisk is anything. It's a complete wild card, and generally not recommended to use with RM unless you are absolutely certain that those are the files that have that ending, and you should always double check to make sure what sort of files will be deleted. By getting a listing first and then see what comes in the listing, then you can pass whatever you want from there to the RM. Anyway, that's definitely useful, but you also have something else. You have the next one, which is a question mark. Question mark represents a single character. So if I do the same thing here, let's give it the full name. Is it random? And we're just going to place a question mark instead of M. Again, question mark also stands for any character but a single character. So just a single character, no more. Let me just show you. Dutch. Is it random? I don't know. 0, 5, whatever. And there we go. It just substituted a single character, which is a considerable difference from this. Let me just show you the difference between between these two wildcards, I guess. If I press enter with a question mark, it's just going to substitute the last letter, nothing else. And if I type in asterisk here, I'm going to get two files because it's going to say pretty much everything that follows this is also a valid output. Anyway, these things, as I said, are used on a daily basis in administration, and they're extremely useful. They save you a download of time. You would not believe how much. Anyway, there are these three down below, which function on basis of different logic, but fairly similar. And we're gonna do them in the follow-up tutorial. For the time being, I'm gonna call it here and wish you a lot of luck with this. Welcome back, everybody. We'll just continue, shall we? So, thus far, we have covered the wildcards, be it the asterisk, which is a general wildcard where you can substitute practically an infinite amount of characters and any character, or you could have used a question mark, which would substitute only one character with any character. Now we're going to go ahead to something more specific or something more precise where you will be able to say, okay, well, I wanted to contain these characters, or I wanted to begin with these characters, end with these characters, or not contain these characters, or even contain this particular range, which can also be a very nice feature. Anyway, let's go ahead and give it a shot and see what happens. So if I type in LL here, I get a listing of all the files that I have in this folder as before. But let us say that I wanted to print out all the files that begin with, let's say, R. So I notice that I have the files random. So here, random and random with a capital R. These are two completely different things. As I do believe I have mentioned before, Linux is extremely case sensitive. Let's go ahead and type in LL space, open bracket, type in R, close bracket, and then place an asterisk so we don't have to type in the rest of the name of the file. Press enter, and there you go. You get two files which begin with R, but notice how we didn't actually get the file that started with a capital R. Now, if we want to include that file, we would just type the capital R here. So we are telling the first field of the file name will either contain a lowercase r or uppercase R. This is not the second field, so this wouldn't be you cannot think of it as two fields. So the lowercase r and uppercase R are the same field. So this is basically equivalent to this. Either the first field of the file name will contain R lowercase or R uppercase. These are not two separate positions. Probably a better thing to say that they are positions as opposed to fields. Anyway, so these are not two separate positions. This is one exact position, except you're telling the machine it either begins with lowercase r or it begins with uppercase R, and then we are going to get it. Surely enough, you see that indeed we got 3 files printed out. Anyway, you can put this pretty much anywhere you want. You can put it depending on the purpose at hand, depending on the task at hand. You can substitute any position in the file name. So let me just give you an example of this. Now we are going to define the second position. Only when you open close the brackets again are you actually defining the second position, or the third, fourth, or last and second to last, because this could just as easily have been written out like this. And how do we want this file to end? Let's say we want it to end with E. Excellent. So we are effectively telling the machine all files that end with letter E should be printed out to standard output, and surely enough we get them here, no problems. But what I wanted to show you is defining other fields. So if I type in, I don't know, open bracket, and I say D, second field shall be O, close it. Then we're going to put an asterisk here, and then asterisk here, and press enter. Well, a poor example here because they all pretty much contain DO except for the last one, but doesn't matter. I think you get the idea here. So it can be preceded by anything and it can end with anything. It contains a D character somewhere in the middle followed by an O character. And surely enough, all of these files, they do contain DO somewhere within their name, except for the last one, which you can see that it was not printed out, so the command was successful. Anyway, I could have also said DOM. So this would be we're going to get pretty much the same output, but I just want to show you that you can specify multiple characters you can specify multiple positions, no problems. You could also have specified different characters at these multiple positions. So this one would have UIO and this one would have POL. This would be a huge amount of, well, maybe not a huge amount of combinations, but certainly certainly a significant amount. Basically what we said, it can contain D, E, G, S, F, oops, shouldn't write it twice. And then it will be followed by either by UI or O, and then it will be followed by P, O, L, or M. This would be we would be casting a pretty wide net with this, but it doesn't really matter. What I want to do here is demonstrate that you can specify multiple positions. Now, you can also say, oops, sorry, clear. You can also say that you want to exclude certain characters. If I type in LL, and if I type in the question mark is pretty much the universal negation, either in programming or here in Linux, in the Linux terminal. I can say, let's say that is excluded as the beginning of the file. And you will see all the files that began with is are no longer here. They can no longer be here as they are excluded. Just a exclamation mark means not, does not contain, and we are negating these two characters, therefore excluding them from our output. There is just one more thing that I wish to mention here, and those are the ranges. So for that purpose, I've actually created these files is random 00, 01, 02, 03, 04, and 05. Let's go ahead and see how that works out. Type in LL, give it a wildcard, or we can We can type in is random because we've used the wildcard before. I just want to show you that this does work without full